Jennifer Priest of Housecraft. We're here to take a tour of the Fletcher Wildlife Garden with Sandy Garland and to learn how to make our gardens a little bit more friendly for butterflies and other wildlife.
We tried to create habitats that are typical of this part of Ontario. We didn't want to do anything exotic. We wanted to have all the sort of common native stuff here. And the idea was that if you made a place, created the right sort of habitat, wildlife would move into it. And what was really neat is that actually worked. Jeff Harrison and Peter Hall were the guys that founded the garden, and Jeff used to give these great talks, and he would quote Field of Dreams, "If you build it, they will come." And we used to laugh at him because he kept saying it too many times, but it actually worked over the years. You know, we've kept inventories of what's here, and the wildlife have come and found the areas that we've created. So obviously you're not going to, the average person is not going to have a pond this size on their property. Oh, that's really cool. But this is what it would look like in the wild, more or less. The jewelweed has been excellent, and we get lots of hummingbirds coming around here to visit the jewelweed.
Really?
Yeah, in August, if you stand here in late August, hummingbirds just flock to you. We're not collecting seeds from any of these plants because we want the seeds to fall down there so that plants will grow up naturally. The more we can encourage things to happen naturally, the better.
So the strategy is that you're just going to create the conditions for the natural things to grow and sort of drive out the invaders.
Yeah, exactly. The best strategy would be to do nothing and let things evolve. But we've learned, and it's fairly obvious to anyone who has any experience with gardening, that just doesn't happen. You have to kind of nudge and shift, but we don't want to really disrupt too much. It's more pushing and encouraging and shifting things in the right direction. The whole purpose of the garden is to provide the essentials for wildlife: food, water, shelter, and places to build homes. That's it. Keep that. That's our Bible. The circle that you see over there is an area where we planted a bunch of milkweeds in the spring. And milkweeds are harder to grow than you'd think. We've had some nice stands of milkweeds here, and then after a few years they've kind of disappeared. And we're not sure why. In some cases it's probably they're being shaded out by trees that are growing up close to them. But in other cases they seem to die for no reason. I'm told they like disturbed areas, which is contrary to everything that you would believe. Normally invasive species like disturbed areas, and once the area stops being disturbed, the native plants will take over. But in this case, apparently they like to be disturbed, which is why you see them growing along roadsides and in, scrappy sort of areas. Anyway, so we're trying. We had a bunch of plants donated, and we're growing them ourselves. We collect seeds and grow them every year. And we planted a bunch in the spring, and they did surprisingly well, even though the planting exercise was horrible because it was hot, and we did a terrible job, and it was really hard lugging water. The plants survived, so they really are pioneers. They really are troopers. So in the fall, we had these Carleton students I was telling you about from environmental studies. We had a group of 16 of them, and they came and planted seedlings, some of them only this tall, all the way around the perimeter of the original area, and then moved the ribbon out a bit. So we'll see in the spring how that worked out, whether we had a good survival rate or not. This is dog strangling vine. And you can see it's a big, big problem. It's related to milkweed. And so the seeds blow around, which is terrible because it gets dispersed everywhere. It's going along the O-line, it's going along the NCC trails. It's just invading everywhere. It's terrible, terrible stuff. And the fact that it's related to milkweed means that every now and then monarch butterflies make a mistake and they lay their eggs on it, thinking that that's the larval food plant, but it doesn't work. The caterpillars can't eat it and they die. And this is my magnificent insect hotel. We got this idea earlier in the year when I guess it was the pollinator network, of which a couple of us are members, sent around this series of photos, the way people do on the internet. Whatever, any insects that overwinter as adults they're looking for cavities. They need to get out of the cold, but more than that, they need to get out of the wind. The wind really dries them. And so insects that overwinter change their body chemistry so that they're full of antifreeze. And then they find a spot out of the wind, and then they can make it through the winter. And the whole purpose of this woods is to show, not the whole purpose, the purpose is shelter. But you'll find that in the summer, on hot summer days, it's nice and cool in here. And conversely, in the winter, when it's a blustery, horrible day out there, you come in here and there's a lot of shelter. It breaks up the wind and it's much warmer. So that's good for wildlife. And also to show people that if they have a shady yard, they shouldn't take down the trees. They should plant wildflowers that grow in the shade. Those are heart-leafed aster.
Okay, so
this is a kind of aster, that grows in shade.
Because I saw them all over the gas.
Yes, they're in bloom right now, and they're so beautiful. The only problem with asters and goldenrods is they both tend to bloom in the fall, like late summer into fall, so you need something as well that blooms earlier in the year. We had cattails in here, for example, and eventually the volunteers just took them out because every year they were having to cut them back. Cattails tend to fill in a pond, even our big one. We're ramping up for a major project to re-deepen the pond.
Okay.
Yeah, which is going to wreak havoc with wildlife, but it needs to be done. Otherwise it's going to fill up and turn into a field, as things do. And turtlehead is important because it's the larval food plant for Baltimore checker spot butterflies. Really, it should be planted near water because that's where the butterflies are looking for it. And it would be really interesting to me to see whether the pink one works or whether it's so different from the native one that it doesn't attract the butterflies.
Thanks for watching our Fletcher Wildlife Garden tour. Special thanks to Sandy Garland for showing us around. If you're looking for the Fletcher Wildlife Garden, it can be found at the Canadian Experimental Farm in Ottawa, Canada.